Why words now? Mark Leckey. 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 Why words now? Mark Leckey.
All right. Hello. My name is Simon Dybbroe Møller. Many years ago, I was so lucky to witness one of the early iterations of Mark Leckey's lecture piece, Cinema in the Round. Mark was a newly appointed professor at the Stedeleschule, and I was a student. To say that this talk had a big effect on me would be an understatement. It changed the way I looked at art. Look at that. Not only because of the non-hierarchical look at image production, the way that Philippe Guston and Titanic sits shoulder to shoulder in that piece, but also I'd just stolen an Edmund Carpenter book from my mom's bookshelf and read his short text called Seeing in the Round. In Cinema in the Round, the fusion of the two-dimensional with the three-dimensional that Carpenter finds in historical Native American painting is invoked in all manner of contemporary images. Edmund Carpenter also says, in its initial stages, every new medium takes as its content the medium it has just rendered obsolete. Scribes recorded oral legends, printers set in type old manuscripts, Hollywood filmed books, radio broadcast concerts and vaudeville, TV showed old movies, magnetic tape was used to copy LP records. This kind of new fish eats older fish food chain logic is similar to that peculiar technique of cooking called ingastration. the practice of stuffing and cooking one animal inside another. This is sort of how I see Mark's work. A turkey stuffed with a goose, stuffed with a pheasant, stuffed with a chicken, stuffed with a duck, stuffed with a guinea fowl, stuffed with a teal, stuffed with a woodcock, stuffed with a partridge, stuffed with a plover, stuffed with a lapwing, stuffed with a quail, stuffed with a thrush, stuffed with a lark, stuffed with an ortolan bunting, stuffed with a garden warbler, stuffed with an olive, stuffed with an anchovy, stuffed with a single caper. Mark Leckey teaches us how to live at this stage of digestion and incorporation. This is Why Words Now, Mark Leckey.
Is that coming through? Oh, there you go, that's it, isn't it? All right, great. Hello. I usually have music on at the beginning because it gets me in the mood or relaxed. But I like this idea of having the kind of skeleton. Am I getting feedback here? I like the idea of this similar. Is it better if I don't have a mic? It's good? Okay, all right. Anyway, I like the introduction with the skeleton. Whoever did that did a very good job. But usually I have music, so I need a bit of music. And this is the last thing I've been listening to. I don't know who it's by. I think it's from Lebanon. But I'm going to play this.
يلا كل مرة العرسان يلا يلا يلا
If anyone
يلا
knows this,
جنون
it'd be
الطو
great.
جنون الطو جنون الطو جنون الطو اخواتي بما انه ضليت لحالي تعالوا لعندي تعالوا يلا خلينا نشعله يلا صور كريمو يلا جنو عمورة يلا معي جنون الطو جنون يلا عصفور اسمع شو
Right, let's go meet. Come and, if you like that, come and ask me later what it was and I can show you. I'm playing that because that's basically how I approach making any work, making art, is through music. And I always have done, but recently it's become more pronounced. I find things in music, I don't know, things that I thought art would kind of like answer or kind of give me a kind of platform in order to kind of to see more clearly or to kind of gain some kind of knowledge. To be honest, I kind of feel let down. So I've returned more to music, and particularly during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, I have a show in London on this radio station called NTS. Does anyone listen to NTS over here? Good. NTS is amazing. NTS gave me a lot of hope, both during the pandemic and subsequently, as it continues to thrive in this way that seems kind of at odds with everything else. And I do a show every month. I do like just an hour, and I've always liked doing it, but during the pandemic, I couldn't make any art. Well, all right, I couldn't make any art because I've got small children, and it became impossible just, I don't know, logistically or whatever, or domestically. but also I didn't want to. I didn't want to make art. I felt, I don't know. I mean, this was a kind of leading up to it. I'd had a kind of, I kind of questioned my faith in art, and I did have a faith in art. I believed in it. I believed absolutely in its ability to kind of like be at the forefront of you know, as a kind of summation of culture, as a way of understanding through poetry the world as it kind of comes to you. And just before the pandemic, I remember going to this exhibition of Picabia in New York at MoMA, and I was walking around, and I was excited to go to the show. I was excited to go. Is my accent okay? You can understand what? Okay, all right, good. So I was excited to go and see. I was fucking dead excited to go and see Picabia, and I remember walking around, and it didn't make any sense anymore. I just remember walking through this show, this artist that kind of. I mean, I liked Picabia's work, but more than that, it kind of like, it was like a kind of, it was a feeder for other works I liked, like Mike Kelly and I don't know, I guess Kippenberger. It's kind of fed out into these other artists that I like, more contemporary artists like. And I remember walking around the show and just thinking, and just finding myself indifferent to it, like its moment had gone, its moment had passed, and it no longer made any sense. And so I came back home and started listening more to music, as I said, and then during the pandemic that kind of accelerated, that increased. And the only kind of creative outlet I had was to make music, or put this music together on this radio station. And so I got fully committed to that for the 2 years that the pandemic was kind of rolling on. And out of that, I did start making some work, but very circumspectly. I kind of didn't want to make art anymore. I found that, I don't know why I'm moving things around. I found that I've never done that before in my life. It's like a new habit I've just developed tonight. It's very weird. I guess what I felt during the pandemic was that music gave me permission in the way that I couldn't find in art any longer. I couldn't find that kind of like, I mean, freedom's not the right word, but just a kind of unthinking response to thing, yeah, just an immediate response to thing. It's like everything with art seems so laden and kind of heavy historically and culturally, socially. All of it just seemed very to kind of be hard to burden. But with music, I just felt open. It was like, oh, okay, music's just. And also, the more I got interested in music, the more it's like, it just seems to answer a lot of the problems that I have with art. It's like, well, you know, democratically, anyone can enter into music in a way that they can't into art. It's a much more, you know, it's not as kind of, it doesn't have the narrowness of access that art does. It's just there. Anyone can approach it. So all these kind of things were like deeply affecting me during apart from everything else that was going on during the pandemic. This is the kind of broil I was in, and I made this piece out of it. All right, here we go. Simon told me not to show stuff. He said, don't show anything. Just talk. But that's quite hard. So I'm going to show you something. Then I go on there. Maybe I need to move that glass over there. That's better. All right. Come on, man. All my videos have gone. Oh, here it is. All right, so this is very particular to the UK, this video, so hopefully it kind of translates in some way. So one of the other things I was doing during the pandemic was just being on my phone. And I got, for some reason I got into this website called UK Bants. Does anyone know what Bants is? It's like this very English thing about like doing banter, trying to be funny in a kind of edgy way. And I don't know why I ended up on this particular site watching UK Bants. And someone posted this video of this kid jumping through a bus stop because it was funny, right? Because he hurt himself. And I was taken by the soundtrack. I like the sound. It's like a cartoon. You hear this the foots run up, leap, jump, smash through the glass, and then there's his mates reacting. Does anyone watch the Cuphead show? No? Okay, I'm around there. Then anyway, so this is the piece I made during the pandemic, and it seems, I don't know, it just seems important to kind of contextualize it to me this way, but maybe should we turn that? Can you see? Nothing's happening, is it? Okay. Oh, yeah. You don't know it. Oh my God. Oh! What the fuck? Wait. He did it. Fuck. Oh my God. How the fuck just happened? He did it.
Oh my Jesus Christ! Oh my God, you did it! Oh my God! How?
God.
What the fuck? Oh my Jesus Christ!
I can't do it. Let's try again.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh my Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh my Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. You did it. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh my Jesus Christ. Oh my God. So that's thank you. That's nice. That piece ended up with a title called "To the Old World, Thank You for the Use of My Body," which I just stole off someone else. I was just watching it now and just thinking, I'll get into this a bit later, but just watching it then, he reminded me of a saint going through some trials and tribulations. I like the idea of just like taking this. So I don't know if we need that. Can you turn that light off, please? Thank you. What I like about that there's two things I like about that. Well, three things actually. One I like that it's this taking something that's kind of like this shitty little bit of video and this shitty little action, this like destructive bit of vandalism, and transforming it into something kind of transcendent or something. At the end, he's kind of remarkable, right? There's something glorious in it. So I like that. I like that I got there through music. So initially it was part of this record I put out with start all over again. It was part of this record. It wasn't a record actually, it was a tape. It was like a little cassette tape that this label called Boomcat put out, which I haven't got, so I can't play you. And they did this beautiful series of little cassette tapes during the pandemic that they just put out really quick. That I think there was a series of about 20. So it started off like that. It was like a musical piece, and then it became this video. And then third of all, I guess it allowed me. So when I said that, like I had this, I don't want to call it a crisis of faith, but a kind of like a doubt about art. And I think art most of the time is about doubt, right? It's about self-doubt and the kind of compulsion and repulsion that the art world kind of offers you. But I like I say, I entered the pandemic with a lot of kind of negative feelings about art, and I think this allowed me to kind of like understand that if I try and all right, so I learned this a while ago. Where's this piece? That was a big yawn. I'm going to find this here. Okay, so I'm going to go back in time. So this is a piece I did in 2001, I think, and this is called Big Box Statue Action. Right, I'll show you a bit. Turn it down. I'll tell you what's going on. So this is a tape written in London, and it is. The full screen. That's me, and basically I'm playing sound through this big sound system to this sculpture by Jacob Epstein. And this is a huge marble sculpture that has been a tape written forever, and they're always moving it around. It's quite obdurate, it's quite this big kind of like, it's quite ugly thing, and so they never quite know how to position it, but there's something very kind of like powerful about it as well, so they want to keep it you know, they want to keep it on show. And we put the statue into the Divinas. People been to the Tate, there's like a big, and it's all made out of this Portland stone and marble. He's made out of marble, but there's stone and marble in the Tate. So there's this enormous echo, there's this enormous reverberation, and the sound is like bouncing around, and there's a lot of bass in it. So it's very physical. So you're there, looking at this sculpture, looking at the sound system, and feeling the sound. And you know, the reason I did it was I just wanted this idea of having two equivalent things, two big objects, trying to kind of, and the sound system was trying to get this mute statue to speak, to kind of like open it up or to animate it in some way, and by kind of bombarding it sonically, but also with kind of sweet songs, and there's some singing and some recorder. I can't find it, and then it gets very. So you get big Zadok the priest blasting in this hall, and it was bouncing around everywhere, and it was kind of magnificent. And like I say, the reason I made it was just to have this dialogue between these two things. But then after I'd done the performance, I kind of realized, or I came to think of it as this form of art appreciation, in that, you know, like I say, this sculpture was always there at the Tate. I'd go up to it, I was kind of fascinated by it. There was something compelling about it. There was something I always wanted to kind of, I had to go and look at it when I went in there. But then I'd be kind of repulsed by it, because it's, like I say, it's quite ugly, and it doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's Jacob wrestling with the angel, and there's one of them's got a huge penis, and you can't tell which one's which. It's a very confusing sculpture, and it's very sexual, and just there's a lot going on. And it also reminds me of, my dad used to have this onyx ashtray when I was a kid, and it's got the same quality. So it had all these weird qualities for it. So I was trying to understand this piece, and I never could, because it felt like going up to that piece and trying to apprehend it, trying to kind of like grok it in some way, trying to understand this thing was impossible. There was too much noise. You know, it was a piece of art. I was looking at art, and art already creates this kind of noise, this kind of field that makes it. And then, you know, the whole history of Epstein and everything. It was too much noise for me to kind of get a clear signal of what this thing is, or what I'm trying to understand it. But I realized that doing this in this performance, it's like the mistake I'd made is approaching this thing directly and kind of asking it to respond to me. And it didn't work. It's not going to give up itself like that. But if I approached it obliquely, if I approached it, if I used the sound system as this kind of like as this means to amplify my desires or my questions, my needs, and the sound system could ask it, then I could start to feel a response from this thing, which I did. It was a ritual. It's a kind of ritual to understand what this piece was and why it fascinated me. But in order to make that ritual work, I had to create this system, this kind of like elaborate ceremony in order for that to make sense. And I had to, like I say, I had to approach it obliquely, not directly. And then when I was making making the bus stop piece, I started to get into iconography. So I was doing the NTS show, and I was looking at books on, Byzantine iconography. Actually, the period I'm kind of really interested in is the moment, so just before the Renaissance, so sort of 13th century, that kind of Giotto, Cimabue, that kind of just that moment where they haven't gone full kind of perspective, and they haven't gone full kind of muscular, and Michelangelo and so they're still painting in this kind of Byzantine iconographic tradition. And there's something about it, that work, that I find really compelling and radiant. And as I was reading about iconography, I kind of stumbled into this, like, part of its kind of quest is based on negative theology. So negative theology is basically a way of kind of trying to understand God, which God can never be comprehended, can never be known, is invisible. So God can only be approached obliquely, right? You can only approach God indirectly, following this kind of negative or apophatic tradition of theology. And that's what I'm doing. I found out that's what I was into. It's like you can't, it's that. So anyway, this path kind of led me back to art, because it's like I'm not trying to approach art directly and resolve its kind of like the problems I have with it. I'm approaching it obliquely. And I'm approaching it obliquely through music, because I love art, as I'm sure most of you do. It promises a lot, and we want it to fulfill those promises, right? So this is the piece I made next. So I was looking at a lot of iconography, and I made this piece because at the same time, why am I struggling with this so much? At the same time, so this is made. So the bus stop piece is made at the kind of peak of lockdown, and then at the end of lockdown, I'm out with my youngest kid, who at that time is like a baby, and I'm pushing her endlessly around London through the parks. And I go to this municipal park near me, Alexandra Palace, and sorry, I suddenly got emotional thinking about it. And I am with my daughter. It's the end of the lockdown. The sun comes, the rays of the sun, like this, come through the leaves, the trees, and I'm listening to Judy Sill, Anyone know Judy Sill? Jesus was a cross maker. Anyone know that song? Yes. And it just, I was gone. So this is a video about this.
St. Anthony in the Wilderness by Lorenzo Monaco, about 1300 AD. The hermit's empty cave appears in the foreground. The dwelling has bare comforts. In the background, the walls of a city or citadel can be seen. St. Anthony into the wilderness.
Oh man, don't cry, I cry. That's what it is. I just walk out into this and I just well up. I just fill up. Everything just fills me up and it's too much. It's too great. It's fucking, I can't bear it. I can't fucking bear it. It's just fucking overwhelmed, man. What the fuck? Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. It's too much, too much.
Then keep the wilderness.
It's just overwhelmed.
No, I can endure it no more.
Carry me.
Into the wilderness.
What the fuck?
Carry me.
Don't cry.
Into the wilderness.
Everything just fills me up. It just fills
me up, and everything just fills me up. Too much, too great. Fucking, I can't bear it, I can't fucking bear it. Fucking overwhelmed by the fuck. Oh Jesus, oh God. Too much, too much, too much, too much, too much. I cry, that's what it is. I walk out, wilderness, and I just well up, I just fill up, everything just fills me up. Everything just fills me up, and it's too much, and it's too great. Fucking, I can't bear it, I can't fucking bear it. Fucking overwhelmed by the fuck. Oh Jesus, oh God. Too much, too much, too much, too much, too much.
Into the wilderness.
So I made a lot of that on well, not on TikTok, using this thing CapCut, and basically, I don't know. I had this moment in this park, like I said, where I was just overwhelmed. But then when I came back home and tried to kind of I don't know, metabolize what had happened, understand what had happened, I could only, maybe that's the wrong approach. For a long time, I've had this feeling that the greater, the more kind of involved we are in technology, in this kind of in the kind of imagery and sound that kind of is constantly with us now, that the more it kind of paradoxically returns us to some kind of like medieval mindset, or some kind of middle age mindset, where everything is kind of is alive, is kind of animated, and also a kind of sense of awe, because this thing, this technology we live in is unknowable and mysterious, you know, and so it's like with that piece, I was just trying to reconcile, or not reconcile, but just trying to understand these kind of two experiences that seem very different. You know, one's in nature, and you know, a sense of the kind of sublime, that in the kind of beauty of, you know, in a kind of pantheist sense, but then at the other, you know, but also the sublime that's kind of, it's kind of digital sublime, this kind of like technological sublime, and that's what that piece is trying to kind of understand, which I still am. I'm still trying to understand that. I feel it very acutely. It's like that we're at the point now where the world that I knew, the kind of possibilities, the rational possibilities of kind of, I don't know, post-war or even further back, are kind of are dissipating. And like I say, we're kind of returning to something that's more akin to a kind of medieval understanding of the world, a kind of two-tier reality, or a kind of like mixed reality were the kind of, in the medieval sense, the kind of spiritual and profane would be kind of enmeshed, but we're in this kind of similar condition, a similar kind of like framework of understanding the world, and we're struggling with it. So that was that, and did that lead me anywhere? That's led me to something I'm doing now, but I've got nothing to show on that, so I'm going to show you the last thing I did, which was completely different. Well, it's not completely different, a little bit different. So there is a place on the coast of England called Margate. Has anyone ever been to Margate? Fantastic. And Margate is a very, it's a weird place. It kind of, it sort of crystallizes a lot of the problems in the UK, but also one of the things it crystallizes is a kind of, there's a new gallery there called the Turner Contemporary, which is kind of modelled on a European Kunsthalle. And it's just sort of been plonked in the middle of Margate, which is this very depressed area, very kind of impoverished, and the gallery is there to kind of regenerate it, rejuvenate the town, which has kind of worked, but not without its problems. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with this video, except that it was part of this show that I was asked to kind of they asked me to curate it, and I said that I didn't want to be a curator, because I don't like that artist/curator role, but also my partner's a curator, and it just felt a bit wrong. And she's a proper curator, and so I decided that I'd do it I'd be a magazine editor instead. I'd approach it like it was a magazine, and I was setting the kind of the agenda for the magazine that month, for that issue. And the agenda was called, was like in the offing. I'm going to have to show you down here. Where is it? Here we go, in the offing. I don't know if you can read this. It's sort of, if you read that, it saved me trying to explain it, but it's all there. And in the offing is a colloquialism. No, it's an idiom in the UK, and it basically is an old maritime phrase that when you look out to sea, I wonder if there's equivalents actually in Danish. So you look out to sea, and between the horizon and the harbour or the shore, that's the offing. That's where you see ships coming in. So you know they're going to come towards you, and it became this kind of like I say, this idiom where you say something's about to occur, something's going to happen. You say it's in the offing, it's going to happen soon, right? Does that translate? Do you have something similar? No, okay. Right, just forget that. Okay, so anyway, in the offing, and so I was asked to do a group show basically. So we did a show with different young artists, all making video, and there was some sound pieces in there. Does anyone know Black Hayne? Anyone heard of Black Hayne? Ice Boy Violet. There was some sort of people that I know through doing the NCS show. I got them involved. So I wanted the show to kind of have people from the music, because I don't know if it's the same here, but there's people from music in London are kind of looking towards art, and there's people in art, obviously like me, looking towards music, and they're looking for a kind of like space where these things can kind of be cohabit or whatever. And so I wanted to have some kind of like space like that. Anyway, I had a piece in there. My piece is about basically going to, so I've been going to seaside towns all my life. This is where you go on holiday in the UK, and they have a particular atmosphere. They're both kind of joyful and depressing at the same time, and they offer pleasure. They're kind of pleasure islands, but also in excess. Basically, you go to these seaside towns to be kind of excessive and to kind of go out your mind. And that's, I was thinking about that, and I was also, when I go to the seaside, I inevitably am kind of compelled or forced to go down to the seashore at night and watch the sea, because I find it absolutely terrifying. The kind of void. I've made that too obvious in this piece now. I'm talking more of a All right, that's it was very, very bassy in here. So that's called Dazzle Dark. And that was, I made that last year. I've got two, I think I mentioned, I've got two kids. I watch a lot of children's TV, and that's become a big influence on what I do. But with those, these three videos I've showed you, what I've found that I like is that I can make I can make these videos with music. I'm kind of making the music and the video at the same time, and that kind of stops me thinking about them as artworks, which is essentially when I talk about this thing about indirectly, that's always what I'm trying to escape, is like making art, but which obviously contradictorily I want to make. But if I have art in the kind of forefront of my mind, then I'm fucked. You know, I don't know about you, but it's like for a long, I mean, I still get it, but it's just that it's trying to avoid that voice in your head that kind of narrates what you're doing as you're making something. You know, I'll be working and it'll be like Leckey is blurring the boundaries between, and you're like, fuck. It's that shit, right? I don't want to blur the boundaries. I don't want to think like that. I don't want to be in that mode. I want to be free of that. I want to be able to kind of, I mean, you know, inevitably I am, and you know, I'll never be free of it. I'm always caught by it, but it's to try and escape from it and evade it. Gives me a kind of, I don't know, it gives me, like I say, it gives me permission, it gives me license. It allows me a little bit of kind of freedom to kind of think, to not get entirely captured by like the discourse or the kind of like, I mean, trends, I guess, to be kind of cruel about it. Anyway, music and video. So I guess I'm going to wrap up by, I don't know if I've got anything to show on this, but I have been, when I came here, I talked to Simon about teaching, and I like teaching. And what I've started doing in the UK is doing these courses, which are for school leavers, so like 16 to 21-year-olds, and it's called a music and video lab. And the idea is that these school leavers come to this course. It's like a very short, compressed course, like a summer school, and they learn about making music and video. They learn, basically they kind of, well, they don't learn because they already know it, right? That's already their language. They already understand how to edit and put things together. But the idea of the course is just to kind of, I don't know, enhance that or even professionalize it or make it or grow it in some way that's kind of allows them to move in a kind of more ambitious direction. And the initial idea of the course was to call it a music and video lab, and to have a kind of bill poster. Do you know what I mean by a bill? Like a kind of like a gig, and you would list the names of the people involved with this course. They'd all be musicians, and then people would see these names and say, oh, that sounds interesting, I'll go because so-and-so's doing it. I kind of hit a slight problem there because the people I know are sort of too old for school leavers, so it doesn't mean anything to them. But kind of doing the stuff with NTS kind of helps, and we kind of got around that in a lot of ways. But the whole kind of idea is to create this space where they can come in and play with music and video, and essentially I'm trying to push them towards making art. It's not really to professionalize them. I want them to make artworks, or I want to give them, like I say, the space to make something that is not fully instrumentalized. But we don't mention art. I made the mistake with the first one we did of talking about, I think I was talking about digital plasticity, and the best kids I had there just got up and left. So it's a way of just trying to get people to make something without the kind of I'm sort of going back to the beginning of the talk, without that kind of burden of like art making, which is I think that's what this talk's about really, is that trying to escape that kind of I was going to call it pressure, but it's not pressure. It's just it's more it's constrictive, right? I find a lot of this weird thing when you're making art or you're involved in art making. It's like it's both expansive and constrictive, and so you're always trying to escape those constrictions, escape those kind of like those binds of kind of what you should be doing, of what you can't do, the kind of doubt, where you're from, who you are, what your identity is, all these things that kind of like make it a problem to make work, to make art. So it's just a way, it's just finding means to bypass that. It's just finding means to go around it. Again, back to the kind of sound system piece, it's just a way of kind of coming obliquely to art without trying to directly make it, because I think that often helps you make better art if you're not thinking of it as an artwork. Yeah. So I think that's where I'm going to end up. Don't make art. What's that? Yeah, please, yeah. I really like questions. Simon says that it's not what you usually do, but I like. Well, it's a lie. I like good questions.
Pressure's on.
But if you've got any questions, I do welcome them. Yeah, and they can be as dumb as you like. Just don't say what's the line. Less of a question, more of a observation. You're not allowed to say that. There you go. So you have to run around a lot, okay.
I don't know, maybe you already sort of answered to this question, but this is a question I often ask in Q&As.
Okay.
Do you have advice for young artists?
That's the question I should have said. Not to ask me that one as well. I think maybe it's the same point. I think you have to find a way around art. All right. One of the things I've been thinking about recently is I've been thinking about. I mean, there's lots of people talking about this, writing about this, but this idea that we become more porous, right? that the internet has created this kind of like porous body. So we're being continually kind of like, things are coming into us, penetrating us, and things are flowing out of us, right? And we're no longer contained. Yeah? We're not contained selves anymore. We're porous beings. I think the same applies to art. It's like when I got into art was contained. It was quite small. It had its own particular kind of, the canon, all the rest of it. It was very contained. And it's like you could make work within that. It's no longer that anymore. You're not in this contained space anymore when you're making art. So if that's the case, then like, where do you make art? Where it's not just in a gallery. These problems are kind of perennial, but I think it's maybe more acute now. It's like where do you, if art isn't just this kind of like path towards galleries and museums and all the rest of it, or that path has been somehow kind of like is less clear, or kind of, there's all these different tributaries or whatever analogy, whatever metaphor you want, but it's like art isn't this contained thing anymore. So in response to like what you say, I can't answer that as like, well, you should do this and this is the sequence you should take, because it's changed. I think it's fundamentally changed, and it's becoming something else, and I don't know what that is, but I think you have to kind of look and kind of figure that out, and don't assume or kind of expect it to be what it was, because it's not. It's a different thing.
Yeah, thanks.
Which is both good but there's potential there, there's possibilities, but that's not a negative response. I think it's like, fuck. What do we do? How do we continue these things that we're interested in? I mean, that to me is the big question at the moment. How do you continue to like do the things that you're interested in, to kind of find the things you're interested in, to make the things you're interested in? How do you continue to do that when everything is just like squeezing the fucking life out of it? It's like, where do you find that? Where do you go? What do you make? What spaces are like possible within that?
The way you just unpacked some of your feelings about the way you just unpacked some of your feelings about art, I was wondering if you have anything to say about club culture and electronic dance music. Yeah. If you don't have any personal.
I mean, I'm trying to convince myself I'm like a more kind of squat version of Iggy Pop, and then I have some kind of like credibility that allows me to go into these kind of like into clubs and that. At the moment, because I have started like playing more music out, and I don't want to call myself a DJ, but I do play music out. And some of the best nights I've had recently have been more within other things, like just, as I was just speaking to the last question, I found more in kind of clubs and music venues, that they just seem more open to me at the moment. So I'm caught in this awkward trap where that's where my interest is, but I shouldn't be there. So I have to go there and kind of lurk. But I would say, yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff, like in London, there's interesting stuff going on that's more around kind of music, and I'm going to do this thing on Thursday, the Ormside Project. Anyone heard of Ormside? Cafe Otto. Yeah, Cafe Otto does amazing things. So all this stuff that feels more kind of like, those spaces are kind of still very kind of experimental, and and kind of, you know, less accessible and more, and not as kind of, I don't know, just it's where you can go and do fucked up things, which is essentially what I'm talking about. Yeah. I do, but they don't. They just go there and die. Fiorucci's the one. I thought if I put, because Fiorucci does well on YouTube, gets a lot of people. You know, I get a lot of likes and comments and all the rest of it, which is nice. And then I thought, oh well, I'll try and capitalize on that and put my other videos up there. They get like 20 likes. They don't do anything. So it's not. At one point I thought, oh yeah, because there's something I could do, but it doesn't. No. I was going to show this thing. I was going to show this one other video. I forgot to show it. How are we doing for time?
Yeah.
Fine. Let's just quickly see if I can show it quickly. I forgot to show it. I don't know if I got it actually.
Our usual sound person.
Oh, here we go.
Mark, our usual sound person, Martin Hesfeldt, is playing in
Play in the background. So this is like there was a book fair in New York, and at the book fair, the gallery I'm with just sold these VHS videos of this. This is like a ghosted version of Fiorucci. I just took the tape and transferred it between two VCRs, so it got really degraded. And I'm going to put it in the background with the sound, and I'm going to read out something that I wrote about it, and I wondered if this might mean anything or say something. I wasn't going to bring up Fiorucci. Here we go. Fiorucci was made in 1999, the year of Y2K, the year Napster launched, the year of the Blair Witch Report. Everything became available locked in those last moments of the 20th century. Information finally became free, and music became just another utility. There were cheap camcorders to go ghost hunting. Oh yeah, I could get nostalgic for that century. All the expectant novelty promised by a new decade didn't cross the threshold of the 21st century. Instead, all those cultural movements slowly ground to a halt, and events became algorithmic rather than chronological. Time was converted into space. The millennium bug was real. The clocks did get fucked up. Suspended in space-time, the dancers in Fiorucci are phantoms, moving in great halls, dressed in their neck ruffs, doublet and hose, as they join the classic hauntings from the Middle Ages, the Elizabethans, or the late 20th century. Right, so that's where Fiorucci's like now a ghost film. It's like, it's so long ago. And so, I don't know, irrelevant, well not irrelevant, but it's like, I think, you know, another thing that I think about a lot is what I'm trying to point to in there is that I think the 20th century had this very particular kind of speed to it, this kind of very progressive momentum that came after the Second World War, this kind of, that where each decade would unfold and each decade would produce a kind of novelty, would you know, differentiate itself from the last decade. And you know, when the 21st century coincided with the internet, then that kind of stopped, essentially because one, it was particular to the 20th century, I think, but also the internet's kind of like archive made everything available all at once, right? So time like gets converted into, instead of being sequential, moving forward, it becomes across, becomes horizontal. Time gets converted into space, and you get this whole different, it's no use looking to the 20th century to see it as a model for anything anymore. It's kind of like it's done, it's died, it's like it's a ghost. And now time is kind of like it moves in a different way. Time is space. Any other questions?
I had one question for Mark Leckey. It seems also a lot about resistancy that I love your compositions, and sometimes it feels like the resistant part is greater than the awesome sounds and the way you make your compositions on. Could you put some words on this resistancy of not making it fully into this or fully into that? I know you spent an hour on it, but more specifically the musical part,
Resistance?
Yeah, it seems like there is a certain resistancy of fully making it into the composition, or fully making it into the artwork, or fully making it into that beat.
Yeah. That's a difficult one.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I really find fascinating in your work, is this...
Right. I mean, that's nice to hear. I mean, it's not, I don't know, I think it might be more to do with just my personality than anything else. I don't know. I mean, part of the kind of problem I've always had with the art world is to do with a kind of like, I'm sort of hesitant to say this in any kind of like absolute way, but there's a kind of class antagonism, right? It's like to enter into the art world, I had to remake myself into a kind of more bourgeois subject, or more middle class subject, right? Which was quite fraught, like going to art school and having to read theory, what I found really difficult, because I had no experience to pull on that. So I guess the resistance kind of comes out of that some way. It's a kind of like, it's a chip on my shoulder. Is that an idiom that gets translated over here? It's kind of like, the art world pisses me off sometimes because of, I guess it's smugness. It's a kind of middle class smugness that I always kind of like would kind of annoy me. And I guess there's a sort of, and a condescension, and a sort of, all those kind of things would make me kind of resistant, I think.
We're all a little bit annoyed, I guess.
Yeah, everyone's annoyed. I know. I don't. That's why I'm saying I don't want to make it like just it's everyone's annoyed. But that was my particular annoyance. Was just this idea that you basically have to, that my culture where I came from wasn't enough, and I had to learn this kind of this other culture that was better, It was more sophisticated and more, you know, and I believe that, you know, when I first entered it, I thought that I will learn things within this that I don't know. And then I found myself returning and thinking, I don't know how much I've actually learned. And I looked back to, like, you know, the people I grew up with, and it's like, why wasn't that kind of intelligence acknowledged, or kind of like, where did that, you know, where were the opportunities there? Do you know what I mean? So that still irks me, that still bothers me. That's part of the reason for doing this music and video lab idea, you know what I mean? It's like, you leave out the art bit, so you get people from a different background to come into, like, a creative field. You know, people from a background, like a working class background or whatever, they're not afraid of music, but they're afraid of art, right? Art's intimidating and difficult and all the rest of it. So it's just, that was the reason to do that. It's like, I know we're not doing art, we're making music. You know music, it's fine. You know, it's that.
All right, one last question. Anyone?
Was that? Is that you? What was that? What was the question? Oh, shit. You're the only one. What is that? Was it bad? I have to explain myself now, don't I? You know, part of the, all right, when I was talking about earlier the kind of conditions of art, right, the conditions of art changing, one of the conditions that changed is that video doesn't sell anymore. So I have to find ways of making a living, making an income, and Bottega Veneta came knocking at my door and said, "You look striking. Would you like to be in our fashion magazine?" But I thought I got away with it because I thought no one had ever seen it. So that's a shame.
Okay, all home and Google.
No.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Cheers.